David Greenshield going in a direction that I was headed. We talked about, or at least referenced, Michigan's prowess in the transfer portal, and Ohio State's been pretty quiet, just selected a player here and there. Thoughts on working the portal for a quarterback, possibly Cam Ward, Washington State?
No, thank you. Ward is like, I don't see it. Don't get what the big deal is. He's not a running quarterback. No biggie. They got 4 quarterbacks. They're fine. They'll figure that out.
You sit there and you go to the portal for a quarterback. You lose McCord, which I know 80% of the chat's probably going to go, hooray! But you lose McCord. You lose Devin Brown. If you get somebody who's a longer term where you're getting somebody with multiple years, what does that mean for Lincoln Kienholz? So your quarterback room gets pretty thin. Now, if it's a situation where Drake May or Caleb Williams becomes available, then you make some real tough decisions at that point. But you could really wreck your quarterback room by going and portaling like that. And not only can you wreck that, you could wreck parts of your locker room because, yes, these kids love winning, 12 to 15 days a year within the season, but you develop relationships and everything else. And a quarterback is supposed to be a leader. And if you sit there and you usurp them like that, I think you're just really cutting off your nose to spite your face. I like Cam Ward to a certain extent. There have been other quarterbacks who've just entered. KJ Jefferson of Arkansas just entered the portal right before we went on the air. There's going to be a lot of names out there of players who are going to be available. But I just say this isn't the same as replacing somebody on your offensive line or bringing in a linebacker. This is very different.
Well, look at the schedule for next year. I mean, at Oregon, at Penn State, are the 2 tough games. Michigan at home. I don't really see much on here that scares you to death. If you just stay the course, you're at worst 10 or 2, 11-1. You're in the playoff. Isn't that the goal? I mean, going forward is to make the 12-team playoff every year and take your chances and maybe get a $5 million home game or whatever. I mean, it just, to me, everybody wants to cut and run on Ryan Day. The flip side of this is if he doesn't fire anybody and they just keep stacking one top 5 class on top of another with 4 top 100 wide receivers every year, although I wish they'd use some of that energy and money to go get top 100 offensive linemen and defensive linemen. End editorial comment. But you're right where you need to be going forward anyway. This isn't worth, ripping the whole thing up. I mean, your track record says you're in this position where you are 11-1 almost every year. So why would you, rip it up? I mean, if you lose to Michigan the next 3 years and don't win a national championship in the next 3 years, then yeah, maybe, whatever, rip it up and try and do something different or better. But I mean, the risk isn't worth the possible reward, or certainly the negative that could come out of it if you're not as good as you currently are.
I'll also say with Cam Ward, just let people know he was 0-2 against Washington as a starter. So throw that out there. He's about 30 spots below Kyle McCord in pass efficiency. Throw that out there. Kyle McCord finished like 15th, or is currently 15th, ahead of guys like Jordan Travis and Quinn Ewers and names like that. Talia Tungavailoa, who, I don't know why I threw that name out there. I'll just throw another name out there. But, I don't think they will. When they went to get Justin Fields, the competition at that point was Matthew Baldwin and Tate Martell.
You had nothing.
Urban Meyer left them in a very bad spot. Dwayne Haskins leaving left them in a bad spot, and Ryan Day went out and fixed it. And I don't think their quarterback situation is in a bad spot. Could it be better? Sure. Does Devin Brown make it better? I don't know. I think Lincoln Kienholz is probably the highest ceiling of those guys, but he's probably also the furthest away. And he's got the most ground to make up. And I also don't think you can I don't know that there's anybody going to be in the portal that can come in, whether it's in January or May, and know the playbook and know the offense as well as the guys who have been there for 3, 4, 2 years and win that job. So why would they? They're not going to be guaranteed the job. They might come over for some money. I don't know Ohio State or not Ohio State. I don't know if the collectives are going to throw a bunch of money at somebody unless it's somebody who should be leaving for the NFL. I don't know who is out there. They're not going to go. Shador Sanders isn't, they're not going to go get him or anything like that. So I really, you've recruited quarterbacks well. And so now you go with those guys. Now, if you don't trust Kyle McCord, and there are times this season when Ryan Day clearly didn't, then you've got to find somebody that you can trust. Now, can you build that up with Kyle McCord? He's by every measure, throughout history and time, generally a quarterback that starts one year is better as a starting quarterback the next year. Now, is it good enough? I don't know, but I would assume he's going to be better next year than he was this year. Now, you can have some extenuating circumstances like a bad offensive line, which, Todd Beckman in 2007 was better than Todd Beckman in 2008 because he had to run for his life. So you change out and you get a quarterback that can run for his life better in Terrell Pryor. But I don't see them going to the portal for somebody that may not even win the job and almost certainly wouldn't win the job. And the only way they would win the job is if you bring somebody in and you lose McCord and Devin Brown to the portal, and now you've got that guy competing against a redshirt freshman and a true freshman. Maybe then you've got something, and maybe then that would be the plan. But Ryan Day has lamented the depth at quarterback in his quarterback room over the years. They want to have 4. You can almost never get 4. Next year they should have that number, and I don't know that he would chase 2 guys away on purpose to bring in one guy that you don't know.
Back to Steve's point, this Michigan game is like a drug to Ohio State fans, unlike any other game in this country. I covered the SEC for 7 years and have heard ever since Alabama Auburn is just unlike anything else because of the vitriol and because of the angst and everything. I don't know. We have plenty of Alabama and Auburn fans that come on here or in the chat, and I don't see the emphasis and just the paranoia about one game with anyone. And that's one of the things that makes it so hyped and so great and all those things, even when there's not a Big Ten championship, national championship on the line. But you can't make stupid decisions because you're upset or let your emotions get in the way. This whole deal is changing, as Steve alluded to. Next year, it's a different landscape. And even though you can still internally take offense with this game and get pissed off and make it everything, it's not going to be everything. And I know Ryan Day showed up on third base apparently and all those things, but at this point, it's his program and he's done what he's done because he knows how to run a football program, and he's a damn good football coach. He's got a worse record than Kirby Smart and Nick Saban during this stretch, I'm pretty sure, and that's it. Not Dabo Swinney, not Jim Harbaugh. None of those guys have as good a record as Ryan Day. And if you're going to say that he got Urban Meyer's team, you also have to credit him for a win against Michigan. I know he's not 0-3 against Michigan, like some people would like to say. He's 1-3 against Michigan. That's not good, but that first game that he beat Michigan, he beat a Michigan team that was in the mold of the 7 that Urban Meyer.
Hey, Mark, you need to check the messages.
Urban Meyer, yes, I am very proud of his legacy at Ohio State, that he went 7-0 against Michigan in particular, but he didn't beat this Michigan program. And I'm not saying that he couldn't, just saying that wasn't the one that he faced. Michigan has elevated. Ohio State has not gone anywhere. They're not a worse program today than they were 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, we got an issue here, Mark. This guy, David Kennedy's got to go.
Okay. I will look for it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're not here, to take, for people to take shots. That's just, not we're not going to deal with
Oh,
that.
yeah. I did not see any of this. Yeah, you people need to, and I'm speaking to like 1%, if that,
Mm.
out there, need to get a grip on your life and reality and class and respect and all those things. It's a football game played by 18 to 22-year-olds. It's a football game. They throw around a piece of cowhide and run into each other. We have glorified it and magnified it to an extreme level, and it's fun and should be fun. It should be fun. And yes, I don't like the outcomes of these games. I don't like them either. But man, you really need to look in the mirror and maybe pull yourself away from social media for a couple weeks if this is how you're going to conduct yourself, because that's just unbelievable. Realize this: you may in some other lifetime you would actually be neighbors with and friends with like Michigan fans and not even know, oh, those are pretty good people, or Michigan fans with Ohio State fans and not even know the difference, or actually maybe even like those people. You're a fan of the team that you're a fan of, probably because of where you just happen to be born.